Good morning, Kitchissippi. It is Saturday, November the 23rd. This is a video version of the 414th Kitchissippi Weekly Email Newsletter. You can find more information and links for the topics and issues that we'll discuss in the video in the weekly email newsletter, to which you can subscribe at kitchissippiward.ca. Pretty meaty one this week, so let's dive right in. First, at the Committee of Adjustment, there is two properties in our ward that are coming up at the December the 11th hearing. At 28 Gwyn, the owner is seeking permission to build a front-facing garage associated with a single detached home there. And at 346 Roosevelt, the owner is seeking to permit reduced frontage, interior side yard, lot yard area for the construction of a 4-story, 6-unit low-rise apartment building. We have some of the decisions that come out of the November the 6th hearing. Two of the hearings were adjourned. At 451 Roosevelt, that was adjourned sine indefinitely. The hearing that was held this week should have heard the application for 433 Everett. The application for the severance at 551 Edison was approved, and the application for variances at 455 Dawson were also approved. I'm standing here in Iona Park today, where they're getting set to refresh some of the playground equipment. That's a fairly standard process while the city's asset management plan is pursued. Everything eventually comes into its time to get refreshed. There is a consultation that is open, a survey online at Engage Ottawa. I've got a link in the newsletter. What they're going to be looking at, the scope of this particular project is specific to replacing the swings with a 3-bay swing set, including 2 belt swings, 2 bucket swings, and 1 accessible swing, along with a new playhouse and basketball nets. So check out the proposal at the Engage Ottawa site, to which I've linked in the weekly newsletter. 529 Richmond was a bit of a kerfuffle this week, and I wanted to provide some quick clarification. 529 Richmond has been added to the federal bank of lands that they're poised to start getting developed with housing as part of the overall thrust that all levels of government have on housing. There was a story in one of the media outlets that showed the Keg Manor, and I just want to reassure folks, the Maple Lawn grounds, the Keg building, are not in play. Those are heritage buildings and probably untouchable, but it is the 2 parcels of land just to the immediate west of the Keg building. It's currently being used by the LRT Stage 2 team, and some residents will remember a deal that came out of the initial refusal by the NCC to allow the city to run its light rail through the Parkway corridor. As part of the 100-day deal, they settled an outstanding dispute between the NCC and the city as to whether or not the NCC would be allowed to develop it. 2 very specific parcels were identified for development. Each of them would allow a mid-rise, I think it's a 6-story mixed-use building, and so those are the parcels that are in play. It is not the Keg or Maple Lawn grounds. An interesting thing I just wanted to pass on, I don't think residents will see a lot of effect from it, but coming out of the approval by the Ontario Land Tribunal of the Minto proposed development at the corner of Parkdale and Wellington, I think I mentioned that the decision had an absolute paucity of detail. There was no guidance in that decision as to why the tribunal approved that development. The builders noticed it, I noticed it, industry, city planners, etc. So we have filed a request for review of that decision that is very specifically focused on trying to get the panel to give us some reasons for the decision that they made. There is some jurisprudence that says it's not good enough to say he said, she said, we're approving or refusing. They do have to provide some reasons. We filed for a review. I was able to prevail upon the legal department to do that, and so I'm looking forward to seeing whether or not we can get a bit more detail that will be useful in guiding future development review in Ottawa and across the province. Here's an interesting one. The budget is out. There is a report that is coming to Transportation Committee on the Road Safety Action Plan that identifies new locations for speed camera enforcement. And in our ward, sometime in 2025, if there is a place to power it, they are proposing that they're going to put a speed enforcement camera on Lanark between Briarway and West Village Private. Sorry, is that correct? Beach Grove to Briarway. It's the stretch of Lanark that goes in front of Jules Leger School, in front of Graham Spry, and they are proposing that they'd put a speed camera there. That wouldn't be my first choice, but they are working with the data. They're going to have some sort of a formula that speaks to the volume of cars and the speed at which those cars are traveling to determine where to put speed cameras. We have had brouhahas around the council table where councillors have tried to move a speed camera from one location where it's proposed to a different location where they'd prefer it be. Those have failed, and so it looks like if the power is available, there will be a new speed enforcement camera on Lanark between Briarway and Beach Grove. For several years I have accepted that some of those big suburban roads are better candidates for speed cameras. This year I put a real focus on asking for some speed cameras in our ward. I think it's Kitchissippi's turn. This will be the first one, and I will be persisting in trying to get more, with priorities including the stretch of Broadview in front of Broadview School, Gladstone in front of Connaught, and Holland in front of Fisher. There has been a site plan filed for 370 Athlone. That's the 3-story 16-unit apartment building on Athlone behind the former Whispers. It's just a technical process, but you can take a look and comment on some of the technical details, things like landscaping, the site servicing plan, the grading, all those sort of technical considerations. You can take a look at all of that at the link to which I've provided in the newsletter. In the community news, there are upcoming Community Association AGM still. McKellar Park is hosting it. It's on November 24th at 7 p.m. at the McKellar Park Fieldhouse. Westboro Beach will host it on November the 25th. That one's going to be on Zoom. And the Civic Hospital Neighborhood Association has got its AGM on Tuesday, November the 26th at 7 p.m. at the Hintonburg Community Center. The Hintonburg Artisan Craft Fair is coming up. That's going to be on November the 30th. That's going to be from 10 until 4 at the Hintonburg Community Center. That's one of the bigger craft fairs going, certainly in our ward, if not the city. Always a great time, and there's always chili, which I really enjoy. The Fisher Park Christmas Craft Fair is also coming up. That's going to be on December the 7th. That will be held, of course, at Fisher Park School, 250 Holland, from 9 a.m. until 3 p.m. on Saturday, December the 7th. Local urban artisans, local charities offering a wide variety of handmade items and gourmet foods, great stocking stuffers, and gift ideas. I probably will see you there. The Nepean High School Council, Parents Council, which has recently resurrected and has become active again, is doing some active fundraising. I have a note in the newsletter about how you can buy their Purdy's chocolate. They are also seeking an outside rep on their council. So somebody from the community who's not necessarily a parent or a student or associated with the school, but a community rep who can provide some additional community perspective to the parent council's activities. I've got details in the newsletter about how you can volunteer for that. Again, my usual reminder, board service, council service is really important service. So please consider taking a look at the description of what they're doing and stepping up. At City Hall, we have a very busy couple of weeks. It's budget season. This is one of a couple of times a year that are extremely busy for city councillors. The Transit Commission is going to be particularly busy. We meet on Monday to consider the budget. Many of you will have seen, I am part of a working group that proposed a steep increase to the seniors pass. We have walked that back. The mayors, or presumably Chair Gower, will be introducing a motion at Monday's Transit Commission meeting to significantly increase the discount over what had been proposed for the seniors pass and to restore Wednesday free days. I expect there are going to be lots of motions to try to seek to bring some of the fare increases that we've proposed and put them on the property tax bill, something that I largely support if it can get the support of full council. There are dozens of delegations who are signed up to speak. Take a look at the full budget and the agenda at the link online. The Community Services Committee is going to be meeting on Tuesday. It will also be considering its budget. I expect that to be a less headline generating meeting and pass largely as written, but there are always lots of delegations from food security, housing, aging in place, all the various different social groups and civil society will generally make a delegation. So it will probably be a long meeting, but one that passes the budget as written. On Wednesday, City Council meets. I don't expect that one to be a particularly headline generating meeting either. We're going to probably be focused on passing a number of the things that we've done at the Heritage Committee and at the Planning Committee over the past week and a half or so. There is one interesting item. Councillor Kelly, Clark Kelly, had some interactions with some daycare staff that were caught on camera. Some complaints were filed. There is a report that is coming to that City Council meeting recommending that City Council reprimand Councillor Kelly. So we'll see how that turns out. The Transportation Committee is going to meet on November the 28th. Again, it's mostly going to be contemplating its budget. Again, I don't expect that that is going to change very much. There's no big popular movements to change part of that budget, but always a good discussion. Roads is something that affects really everybody, and so there's usually lots of delegations out for that. The Strategic Road Safety Action Plan that deals with the speed camera that I was talking about a little bit earlier is also on the agenda. So the annual report from that plan speaking to road safety in Ottawa. The Light Rail Subcommittee is going to meet on Friday, November the 29th. We're going to get an update on LRT Stage 2 construction, which really just keeps trucking along. The Finance and Corporate Services Committee is a really meaty one. They're going to meet, or we're going to meet on December the 3rd. We'll consider our portion of the city budget, of course, and I don't expect a lot of changes there, but of particular interest, and I want to make sure everyone knows that the 1010 Somerset property and disposition of that land is going to be on the agenda. Part of that disposition is to make a parcel available to the French Public School Board for the construction of a new school. I know parents have been impatient to get that done, so that is finally coming forward. It won't be the last step. There will still be a zoning approval that has to be done, but if this report passes as written, I think that will be a fairly easy passage for the zoning, probably early next year. So that is the newsletter this week. Kitchissippi, it is extremely busy. I want to thank my staff who are busy keeping all the emails answered while we're busy in committee week. I hope you have a great week, and I want to thank you for watching. Thanks, Kitchissippi. Have a great week.